Hello, everyone. We are back after a week off. It is good to be back on the mic today. And it is good to have Luke back after, what, 2 weeks off?
Yes, yeah, thank you. I had the flu, and so I had to take an episode off. It really would not have been pleasant listening to my raspy voice. So it sounded like RFK pretending he knew something about football. So
Oh,
I
man.
had to take an episode off. It was a throwback episode for these guys. Hope everyone enjoyed it.
Yep. Yeah, we held it down, but we appreciate now that you're back and feeling 100% again. But as always, we are back to the group of three. Adam,
Dante.
And Luke.
happy to have you along with us as always. Today, since it is Pro Bowl week, whoever cares about that, like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I will say congrats to both of you for having your quarterbacks in the Pro Bowl, whether you think they deserve to be here or not.
we both deserved it. I would say.
Totally, yeah, definitely not over Bo Nix or anyone else. Totally deserved it, but I
I
will
just
take
I just don't know how Burrow made it.
it.
Yeah, who are these Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson guys anyway?
Yeah, dude. Not Pro Bowlers.
Not Pro Bowlers.
Or Russ and Drake May. Drake May maybe more deserving, but Russ was good for a
Russ
good.
probably had better stats on paper, but we were
Yeah,
both on the couch
yeah, very true.
checking into the playoffs. So
Right.
Well, anyways, we're taking a week off from predicting games, and we are here for your NFL honors episode. That is right. This coming Thursday will be the show to announce who will win each award this year for the NFL. And I believe, no, I'm actually mistaken. I think the Patriots have one nominee. The Steelers don't have any. No, wait, the Steelers have a nominee too. Okay, Carolina's got nothing. But
we
um,
oh Drake May.
Luke, no,
Christian
Christian
Gonzalez.
Gonzalez. Yeah, Gonzalez for
Oh, that's right.
Player of the
That's right.
Year.
That's right.
TJ Watt's up for another depoy. So we'll get into that. Um, but no Panthers, so some fairly unbiased predictions coming from me today. But let's get on into it. For those who aren't familiar with how we did things last year, we're doing a two-part for each award, who we think should win, but then who we think will win. So maybe different answers from each of us for each one. But
Yeah. Let's
anyways, let's get into it. Starting with the offensive rookie of the year, and we've got a stacked group this year. We've got Brock Bowers, tight end from the Raiders, Jaden Daniels, quarterback from the Commanders, Malik Neighbors, wide receiver from the Giants, Bo Nix, quarterback of the Broncos, and wide receiver of the Jaguars, Brian Thomas Jr. The way I wrote these down is the guy I think should win this award is Brock Bowers. He had a fantastic record setting season. I believe the most yards by a tight end in like 60 years for a rookie. I don't even know who the last guy was. But maybe the lone bright spot for this Las Vegas Raiders team this year. Had a fantastic season. Unfortunately, though, we know the NFL's quarterback bias. With that being said, there is one quarterback here that really stands out. I think the offensive rookie of the year will go to Jaden Daniels. Had a fantastic season, maybe not as record worthy as Brock Bowers, but took the Commanders to the playoffs. Even though playoff performance doesn't factor into it, he led his team to the NFC Championship. So ultimately, I think it's going to be Daniels, but I think it should be Bowers.
Yeah, I really went back and forth on this about who I think should win. Um, but I'm gonna agree with Adam here. I think Brock Bowers was outstanding. And that takes nothing away from Jane Daniels because he had one of the best, if not the best, rookie season the quarterback has ever had. Um, but Bowers, man, he carried that Raider offense and made them at least competent for some of the year. Man, he was actually the best tight end in football as a rookie, and that was super fun to see. However, who I think will win, I'm going to go Jane Daniels, but it really is a two-horse race between Bowers and Daniels because Neighbors, I mean, he was good this year, but not enough to be considered for the. Well, he could be considered for it, but not seriously up with the big dogs. But Bo Nix, pretty solid year. Started off slow. I think that really set him back. And then Brian Thomas Jr., the wide receiver one of that Jags team, he should not go, understated. He was really, really good this year. But yeah, I think Bowers should, but I think Daniels will. So
Yeah, Brian Thomas Jr. arguably I would say maybe even your third place here. He had
I agree. Yeah.
1,000 yard season. I'm not sure if Malik Neighbors quite had 1,000 yards. And keep in mind, his quarterback for half the year was Mac Jones. Although I guess the best quarterback Malik Neighbors had all year was Daniel Jones, which my goodness. But regardless, like you guys did, I'm not picking either of those guys. We're all gonna agree here. Brock Bowers was historic. He was better than anybody could have imagined he was going to be in his rookie year. Like Adam was saying, pretty much the only bright spot for the Raiders. And he did this with a second year tight end on the team. Um, who I'm drawing a blank, the guy from Notre
Michael
Dame.
Mayer.
Yeah, Michael.
Yes, yeah, uh-huh. So, I mean, set himself apart immediately, and the word is historic. But Jade Daniels is also arguably one of the best rookies of all time.
Hmm.
He led his team, which for 30 years has been the laughing stock of North American sports, not just the NFL, to the NFC Championship. And he happened to run into a powerhouse, who I hope is going to be strong enough to beat uh, the Chiefs. But either way, we all agree here. Brock Bowers, I think, should win. In any other year, probably would win back to back, maybe 3 years in a row now. We've had this where last year it was CJ Stroud. And I remember you, Dante, saying you thought Puka should win. And that was valid at the time, and it's a similar situation now. I think it's pretty obvious Jaden Daniels will win. We've all known this all along, and I feel comfortable with it right now because of how things turned out in the playoffs, like one of you was saying. So, will
Yep.
Brock Bowers be robbed? I don't think that's the word, but I think it should be him.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Cool.
All right, all agreeing to start off, and we're on to the other side of the rookies here. Defensive Rookie of the Year. We've got, again, 5 nominees for every award. Two Eagles here, defensive back Cooper DeJean and corner Quinion Mitchell. Two Rams, defensive end Braden Fisk and linebacker Jared Verse. And linebacker Chop Robinson, Penn State legend from the Miami Dolphins. I'll keep this one short and sweet. I didn't know a lot about defensive rookies this year, but one guy really stepped up toward the end of the season and I think really cemented himself as the winner. He's going to be my name for both should win and will win, and that is Jared Verse.
Interesting. I I'm gonna go with should win and will win. I'm going with Quinion Mitchell.
Okay.
I feel like he was like top three corner in the league this year. He was outstanding. But my my like what am I trying to say? My honorable mention that should be up on a pedestal also is Jared Verse. He was outstanding for the Rams. Came up big in their playoff win against the Vikings. Probably one of his best games of the year. But yeah, I think Quinion will and should win. But talking about the other guys, Cooper DeJean, the fact that the Eagles have two rookie DBs up for this award is just insane. Braden Fisk was good. And in all honesty, I'm a Penn State fan. Why is Chop Robinson up here?
I will say he had a really strong second half of the year.
Did he? I mean, he started off so slow though.
He
But
started off very slow, but I think there was a couple weeks he had like a sack in 5 games in a row or something.
oh well, I don't
You
know,
know
but
better than us, Luke, because he's in your division. You know
yeah,
better.
Yeah, maybe not quite that good. All I know is that he gave us trouble, and he had a very consistent middle to mid second stretch of the year.
yeah. But I digress. I think Quinion Mitchell is uh he's my pick here. But anyway, go for it, Luke.
So that's valid. I'm gonna kind of say what Adam said that I don't really know ball. I don't know enough about most of these guys to give you the most accurate pick. But from the read I'm getting from the narratives and the conversations, I'm gonna agree with Adam and say that it should and will be Jared Verse.
Cool.
And maybe you're right about Quinion Mitchell. I don't really know that much about him. I would like it to be Cooper DeJean, but it's not going to be. I um but and it's interesting also that Braden Fisk is up here. I don't really know who else might have been up here. I like the Chop Robinson is at least getting the nomination. I just know that I've heard Jared Verse's name a lot. I've seen some of the games where he's been very impactful.
Mhm.
Division winning team. Obviously, the Eagles, that comes with some um, extra extra narrative, like a great team around you, a great
Yeah.
defense around you. But they have a lot of veterans on that team, and whereas the Rams defense, which is spectacular, has a lot of rookie contract guys, fourth round picks, and Jared Verse, obviously rookie is one of them, and he had an outstanding year. As did some of the other guys on this list. So Dante, you may be right, but I'm going to go with Jared Verse just because based off what I've heard and what I know, that's what I'm leaning anyways.
Both are valid picks, I think. I think they're the two favorites for sure. But I'd be stoked if Jared Verse won it, man. He was really good this year. But anyway.
Anyways, same style award here, offensive and defensive, but now we're on to the overall players, the
Yeah.
non-rookies. And another stacked group here, Saquon Barkley of the Eagles, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase of the Bengals, Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson of the Ravens. Once again, I'm going to keep this one short and sweet. And I feel like I'm going to call my shot. I think we're all going to agree here. This should
Completely or
and
just
will be what, Luke?
agree completely.
Yeah, this should and will be Saquon Barkley. I
Yeah.
really think so.
All right. Yeah. I don't think it's a debate. Jamar Chase was outstanding this year. Derrick Henry was really good this year. But man, Saquon was just, in my opinion, the best player in football. He was just unreal. So yeah, give me Saquon to should and will win.
I think it's a debate, and
Really?
you had the name right. I think is Jamar Chase. I don't think either of the Ravens have a chance. I kind of doubt Joe Burrow has a chance, but okay. If they had made the playoffs or had won week one against the Patriots and had a better record, then one of the Bengals has a boost in what I've mentioned already, the narrative, because that climb was so tremendous at the end of the year. But you're right, it should and will be Saquon, who, no matter how big of a mountain the Bengals tried to defeat at the end of the year, the hole that they dug themselves into and trying to dig themselves out of, which I mean, that's their second and third place right there. Not to dog on what the Ravens players on that list did, but I mean, just completely historic what Saquon did in 16 games. So
And
that
I just
you're
think,
right.
yeah, I just
Mhm.
think how close he got to breaking Eric Dickerson's record. One of the best rushing seasons we've ever seen. But once
One
again,
of 9 2,000-yard rushing seasons ever. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But once again, Jamar Chase, unreal. Had an insane year. But anyway,
Yeah, yeah. Two seasons I didn't expect
yeah.
to see. But anyways, on to the defensive player of the year. This one once again might be a little harder to predict, but we've got five solid names up here. Last year's winner maybe shouldn't have been, but last year's winner, Myles Garrett, makes a return.
All good.
TJ Watt also is once again nominated. And then I believe these are three new faces that I don't think have ever been nominated for this award. Zach Bond of the Eagles, Trey Hendrickson of the Bengals, and the guy I think should and will win this, Pat Surtain of the Denver Broncos. I mean, I don't have much to say because, like I said, the defensive rookie and player of the year were really hard to follow this year, but Pat Surtain is a baller. I used to say, like, oh, JC Horn's better than this guy because they're from the same draft class. And I was like, oh, denying how good Surtain was. I can't do it anymore. He's the best corner in the game. And I forget whose video it was, but I watched a video earlier this year. Quarterbacks literally refuse to throw in his direction because of how often this guy picks off the ball when it comes toward him. I mean, it's insane. And in a year where there's some uncertainty, I will set this straight. I think it should either be Surtain or Trey Hendrickson. Hendrickson because he led the league in sacks, but I think they're going to go with to Surtain.
Yeah, I think I agree that it should be Patrick Surtain, but I think it's going to be Trey Hendrickson because once again, well, I guess not. I was going to say the defensive player of the year voters value sacks over anything, but obviously that didn't matter last year whenever Myles Garrett won it over TJ Watt. But um, in all honesty, yeah, I think they will give it to Trey Hendrickson. But man, PS2, what a beast! He by far should win it. However, shout out to Zach Bond, man, insane year. He was ridiculous this year. Who expected that? I mean, if I would love to see the betting odds in the preseason on Zach Bond, defensive
Being a
player.
nominee.
That'd be insane. But yeah, shout out to him. Miles was good. TJ was good. Down years for both, I think. More so TJ Watt because Miles just did his thing. He's a beast. Um, I'm happy TJ's up here, even though 11 and a half sacks, still a good year, low for him. There was a big stretch towards the end of the year where he wasn't recording any stats, which is tough and bad. But maybe that's not much his fault. Maybe that's just teams, game planning for him well. But I'm glad he's up here, but don't think he's very deserving of it. But anyway, yeah, PS2 should, but I think Trey Hendrickson will.
First of all, here's a hot take I'm going to drop on you. TJ Watt shouldn't be nominated. If it was anybody from the Steelers, it should have been Cam Hayward at
Could
his
not agree
age.
more. Could not agree more. It should be Cam Hayward instead of TJ.
It
Yeah,
should be.
yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
That being said, I'm going to flip Dante's answer. I think it should be Trey Hendrickson. I think it will be Patrick Surtain.
Interesting.
I mean, both guys are fantastic. Patrick Surtain is fantastic, but the Bengals were the single worst defense in the entire league, and the Broncos are probably the single best. Maybe the Eagles, but I mean, the buzzwords that pop into your head, like the Broncos defense, elite, shut down, lockdown, no fly zones, things like that. It just then you start to associate those things when you just think about even the play styles and not the stats. And so Patrick Surtain is absolutely fantastic. But Trey Hendrickson had a fantastic year too. He had, I think it was 17 and a half sacks, and I think he had 3.5 in the last game.
Mhm.
And he was a big reason why they even stayed in some of the games where they had to claw back and either just win or just lose. And it was so extremely valuable. And Patrick Surtain, like you said, Adam, it got to a point where he wasn't getting thrown to, and that's perfectly fine. It's a testament to how good you are. But when you're that involved and that called on and that trusted upon for Trey Hendrickson, from his standpoint, they needed every single step he took this year to, I said the word before, but to crawl to where they ended up. And so I think it's so valuable, and I think he had such a fantastic year that Patrick Surtain is so young still. He is just now blossomed into probably the best defensive player in the entire league, even though I'm about to crown somebody else, but I'm sure he'll win it. And he'll be so good, excuse me, for so long that he'll get his fair share of awards. And so this year I would probably like to see it go to Trey Hendrickson because in previous years and I'm sure a few future years, when the bigger names, Myles Garrett and TJ Watt, have slightly better years, I feel like they could have less sacks and still beat out a guy like Trey Hendrickson. So I'd like to see him get some respect and not be docked because the rest of the defense around him was so bad, which I think probably subliminally is happening. But we'll see. I think Trey Hendrickson should win. I think Patrick Surtain will.
I will say, if Hendrickson does win this award, I think that would just lock up that the AFC North owns this award because it'll be
Well, I mean,
Jay, then Miles, then Hendrickson. I feel like that'd be sick.
just
But
look at the nominees. I think that's already a statement.
yeah, very true. Anyway, let's move on.
We're already halfway done. But anyways, on to
Nothing wrong with
comeback
that.
player of the year. What were you saying, Luke?
Nothing wrong with that.
Right. On a comeback player of the year, we've got two quarterbacks here. Joe Burrow, a one-time winner of this award already, and we have Sam Darnold. J.K. Dobbins, running back of the Chargers. Patriots corner Christian Gonzalez. Congratulations, Luke. And with all due respect, what is Damar Hamlin doing here? I I mean,
Prayers up to DeMar Hamlin.
Uh,
I get it, but this was the
I
story
don't.
last year.
I don't get it. I mean,
no,
This
I don't get it.
right, I don't because this was the story last year, and
what's
now
it?
he's had a full year. He's had a full year back in the league with no issues health wise. Why is he nominated? I that being said, I don't know who I'd give the fifth
Okay.
spot to over him, but
Well, may I mention something? The NFL this year clarified the award after Joe Flacco won it instead of Damar Hamlin because everybody was like, "Is this a how is this player still good award? Is this a this player sucked before award? Is this a this player didn't have a leg last year award?" So the The clarification was the spirit of the AP Comeback Player of the Year award is to honor a player who has demonstrated resilience in the face of adversity by overcoming illness, physical injury, or other circumstances that led him to miss playing time the previous season.
Okay,
So
makes sense, I
So
guess.
I don't think DeMar Hamlin should be here.
no, you shouldn't. That goes against their own logic because he didn't miss games last year.
I mean, we know he's not going to win, so I don't really have a problem with it.
Dude, if he won, I'd be pissed.
But
I'm sorry.
if he won, I would be frustrated. But
Yeah.
Well,
so
before I
just
give
keep that
my
criteria in mind for, I will just say, perhaps another person on this list as well.
Yeah.
what do you mean another person on this list?
If you allow me to jump straight to an opinion, I don't think Sam Darnold should win just because he stunk before.
Valid. Yeah.
He landed in Kevin O'Connell's offense. That doesn't make you, you know, that's more of a nurture thing. So
All right. Well,
you can disagree with me because he did have a tremendous year.
before I give my prediction, I just want to say one thing. I've said this before, I think. I firmly believe there needs to be a separation of this award. There needs to be a comeback player of the year and a most improved player
Yeah,
Yes.
because
I'm gonna make that point.
how do you
very
differentiate?
clearly.
Comeback
Mhm.
player of the year should be someone who's coming back from an injury or coming back from a near death experience like Damar Hamlin. Most improved player is someone who break is like the breakout player of the year,
Yeah.
like Sam Darnold was.
Hmm.
And I know I'm kind of going against what Luke said, but I'll get into it. I do think Sam Darnold should win this. I know he was in Kevin O'Connell's system, but I mean he was in Kyle Shanahan's system the year before. It really helped him break out. And this man, I don't know how else I can explain it. I will say this. I think Joe Burrow will win again, which will be Joe Burrow's second comeback player of the year award. But the thing is, we know Burrow's good. Burrow had a crazy year. Probably would have been MVP if the Bengals won another game or two. But no one expected Sam Darnold to do this, which is why I think he should win it. But evidently, I will think Joe Burrow will get it. And I won't be surprised at all. I mean, had Sam Darnold had a good final game of the regular season, and I know it already said it doesn't factor into this, but had he had a good playoff game, I think more people would be saying Sam Darnold for comeback player of the year than they are now. But I'll give him his flowers for the should win, but it'll be Joe.
All
I
right.
got
I'm gonna
sorry, before you go, Dante.
good.
Shout out J.K. Dobbins. Love that guy. Happy you had a fully healthy season. I hope you cash in some
Almost fully
money at
healthy.
free agency. Go on, Dante.
All right, I'm gonna flip my order here. I'm gonna go who I think will win first. I think Sam Darnold is gonna win. I do. Just I once again don't know what he really came back from, just being, not a very good quarterback. But nevertheless, he really balled out. Say what you want. I personally think it was to Kevin O'Connell's doing because that guy wins with whoever at quarterback. He was winning with Nick Mullins. I mean, I'll just say that. But yeah, I do think Darnold will win. He did have a very good year. Well, I think, 36 touchdowns in the regular season. Very good year. Who I think should win, I really and truly think, give it to J.K. Dobbins. If you're going to give it to anybody, give it to J.K. Dobbins. If you want to respect the spirit of this award, coming back from something, a guy who's had what, three or four season-ending injuries, some taking place in like week 2 or 3. J.K. Dobbins, man, the moment he goes to a new team, balls out. And I was so happy to see this guy ball out. Damn near 1,000 yards, 9 touchdowns, was a key part of this Charger offense. I really think J.K. Dobbins should win. And if he doesn't, which sadly I'm not expecting him to, I'll be pretty bummed out. But give it to J.K., man. If anybody on here, J.K. or Christian Gonzalez, man, because Christian Gonzalez, just a quick shout out to him, got hurt really early last year, came back and was one of the best corners in the league this year. So either give it to J.K. or Christian Gonzalez. I mean, you could give it to Burrow, but man, he just had a wrist surgery. And like people expect Joe Burrow to be good like that. People didn't really expect J.K. to be as good as he was or Christian to be as good as he was. But give it to the guys like that, man. Sorry, I'm like kind of crashing out here, but
Oh, it's all right.
it's for
All
the
good.
game. I just
Part of the fun.
those guys deserve it, I think. But anyway,
Hey, you're passionate about it, dude. I
I
get it.
am. I am.
Luke, what do you think?
On that note, and you can call me biased, I think Christian Gonzalez should win.
It's not ridiculous. It's not ridiculous to say that.
Let's just look at this objectively. A rookie who was drafted after Emmanuel Forbes, who is now jobless, who was unemployed, maybe. I think the Rams might have picked him up. So there was no guarantee he was going to be a good player because there's never a guarantee that first round pick who doesn't have a rookie season is going to be a good player. A first round pick misses, I think, at least 10 games. I think like remember like 12 or 13 in his rookie season.
Mhm.
Comes back on I said the Bengals might have been the worst defensive unit in the league. If it wasn't them, it was us. We were at least bottom three defensive unit in the league. Had a major injury. I think it was a torn ACL or something, lower body. Comes back. He is unproven. He's facing an uphill battle on a trash defense with a terrible defensive coordinator, and is objectively, to me, a top five player at his position. It's you can't knock me for saying he should win the award. It's just clean cut, and it makes and I like that logic for J.K. Dobbins too. I do. Sorry, Damar Hamlin.
I don't get it. I
No,
don't.
I don't.
I
Just
don't.
a bit.
It's a PR nomination. You know
I mean,
what?
I don't mind as long as he doesn't win.
But dude,
But
it's like it's like
are
those
we?
memes. It's like, all right, we see it, bro. Trust me. Like you know what I'm talking about? It's
He's
like,
begging for attention. Yeah.
yeah, dude. Not
I
his.
think Joe Burrow will win.
Oh, that's
I
gonna
don't love it. I don't love it.
give it to Jake
Uh,
here, Christian, man. Jeez.
what is supposed to be me? Yeah, he pairs up to Damar Hamlin, but that's a moment. Um, I I think Joe Burrow will win.
Ah, all right. Anyway,
Missed pretty much a whole season and came back, and I'll talk about his season more on the MVP slide, but I
yeah.
expect it.
All
All
right.
right, let's recognize some coaches. On to the assistant coach of the year. I don't even think they get their own like podium moment during the show. I think they like announce this in a tweet before the show even starts, which I think is stupid.
Yeah.
They should have their own podium moment like everyone else gets. But anyways, we got two OCs up this year: Joe Brady of the Bills and Ben Johnson of the Lions, and three DCs: Aaron Glenn from the Lions, or I should say formerly from the Lions, because Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson are now head coaches elsewhere. Then you got Brian Flores, the DC of the Vikings Steelers legend, and
Mike
Vic
Tomlin coaching tree.
Vic Fangio, DC
I don't
of
think that counts
uh,
when you're a head coach before then, but
No, it does. Shh.
Vic Fangio, DC of the Eagles is the fifth guy. Um, I'll keep this short and sweet. I think it should and will be Ben Johnson. Lions offense was fantastic this year. They went 15-2, had their best season in franchise history. We know how it ended, but we also know, as I've said multiple times already, these awards are determined before the playoffs even start. So by the time they may have said Ben Johnson's winning this, they didn't even know the Lions were gonna be terrible in a playoff game against the Commanders. They didn't know that. So I will give it to the now former Lions OC and new Chicago Bears head coach.
Yeah, I agree on everything there. It should and will be Ben Johnson. However, honorable mention, Brian Flores. Great season. Was an incredible, led that Vikings offense to be one of the best in the league,
defense.
especially early on in the year. What's that?
You said offense.
Defense. My apologies. Vikings defense to be one of the best in the league. And yeah, I don't know, but it should and will be Ben Johnson. I don't know why Joe Brady's on here, to be honest.
I think it should be Joe Brady.
I'm joking. I was just kidding. I was not.
You can say that, but that's a funny segue because I think it should be Joe Brady.
Really?
I think it will be Ben Johnson, and he's deserving. But Look at the rosters on paper. You lose Stephon Diggs and get better. Meanwhile, the Lions, Ben Johnson has arguably the best tight end in football, arguably the best wide receiver in football, a top five running back. Okay, Amon-Ra is probably not the best wide receiver in football, but like top five at every position, including Penei Sewell. And then Jared Goff is like, he's definitely decent. Joe Brady, you lose Stephon Diggs. Um, James Cook is like kind of eh. You have a backup or you have a rookie running back too. Khalil Shakir, you have Dalton Kincaid, who is terrible. Um, like it's kind of remarkable, honestly. I told Adam a week or two ago, I think they should fire Sean McDermott and promote Joe Brady. That's an entirely different conversation that I don't really care to make because I don't like the Bills, and for all I care, they can keep losing to the Chiefs. But so there's my 2 cents. I think it should be Joe Brady. I think it will be Ben Johnson, which I don't really have a problem with. But for the sake of being a bit different and still liking my answer.
It's a completely valid take. Cool.
All right. Now the actual coaches. We have Dan Campbell, two Dans, Dan Campbell and Dan Quinn of the Lions and Commanders. We have Kevin O'Connell of the Vikings, Sean Payton of the Broncos, and I'm not going to quite make the Damar Hamlin argument here. Listen, I love Andy Reid, but does he really need to be a coach of the year finalist? Okay,
Uh,
I guess they went 15-2,
yeah, I mean, if
15 and 1 basically with the starters. I get it, but I mean, come on, you know.
yeah, I get what you're saying.
I I say that, and then when I think about it, okay, actually, I do think about someone else that should be up here. Jim Harbaugh. I am not a Jim Harbaugh fan, from what everyone knows. But why is he not up here over Andy Reid? I love Andy Reid, but like I said, anyways, I'm not going to waste any more time with that. Um, I think this should go to Dan Quinn because, like I said, the Commanders. Okay, I kind of have to say who I think will win for the argument to be made. I think it will be Kevin O'Connell of the Vikings, but for Dan Quinn's case, the Commanders were a dumpster fire. He came in and was maybe seen as the most uninspiring hire of last year. Led this team to a 12-5 record. Took this team to an NFC Championship game with a rookie quarterback with a questionable on paper offense that all of a sudden looked great. He basically brought Zach Ertz back from the dead. But I mean, Kevin O'Connell, I also got to give it to him because you won 14 games with Sam Darnold as your quarterback. You made the playoffs, but I mean, like Dante said, Kevin O'Connell wins no matter who he's got. Meanwhile, Dan Quinn took over the Washington Commanders and brought them here. That being said, I think it will be O'Connell, but it really should be Dan Quinn.
I'm in between who I think it should be. I think it will be Dan Campbell, to be honest. I don't know. I think the way he is so praised in NFL media, I think it will be him. But it honestly should be Dan Quinn or KOC. I'm gonna say it should be Dan Quinn because like who expected the Commanders to make the run that they did? Um, yeah, Dan Quinn did an outstanding job. Kevin O'Connell, one of my favorite head coaches in the league. Who expected them? I think we could recall. We all of us either had them in third or fourth place in our division predictions video. I had them in fourth. Um, some some
I think we all had him.
I don't know if we overrated the Bears a little bit, which very well could have happened. But
I remember you had him in the playoffs, Dante.
I did have the Bears in the playoffs, and revoke my ball knowing pass because that was awful. But I'm gonna say Dan Quinn should win it, but I think Dan Campbell will.
Okay, I don't hate the Dan Quinn appreciation, but I will just go straight to I think it should and will be Kevin O'Connell.
That's fair.
Um, just 14 wins, doing it with Sam Darnold. Incredible offense with a couple beat like Jordan Addison had a fantastic year. Um, Aaron Jones was great for them. Offensive line was great. And, the defense was fantastic. Just winning some games that they just won football games. It's all they did all year long until they didn't. But I have no problem with Dan Quinn appreciation. I do think a lot of the credit there, not all of it, not even half of it, but it's good finally that Cliff Kingsbury was in his right mind for 17, actually 19 games. Like, it's a Cliff Kingsbury thing to come out and win the majority of the first 8 games because you have a really creative scheme, and then and there's some film on you, and then his team limps to the rest of the year. That did not happen this year. They hit on their drafts, like you said, Adam. They hit on their veterans, Zach Ertz, Bobby Wags. So, and new ownership, it's just a little. You're flying a little bit blind on who to give most of the credit there to, but he deserves a lot of credit. I don't have a problem with Dan Campbell. I really don't think he should win.
I don't
I
either.
really don't, I really don't like the thought of Sean Payton or Andy Reid winning. I just think it should and will be Kevin O'Connell.
Cool. Now the
All
big
right. Now for the big one. MVP. We got five stellar names up here. Four quarterbacks and Saquon Barkley. But we've got Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Jared Goff, and Lamar Jackson. And
Might
Saquon.
I just say this? This is very easy for me.
Okay.
I think for me too. But I will say I've got two different names here. I think this should go to Josh Allen. He lost his wide receiver one this offseason. The Bills had so much uncertainty going into the year. He took them to the number 2 seed, took them to the AFC Championship. The farthest they have gone since 2020 was 3 points away from going to a Super Bowl. You could argue if Dalton Kincaid comes up with the ball, the Bills are maybe in the Super Bowl next week.
Or if they give him a first down.
Or if they give him a first down, or if they call some other things. Yes.
But he did get beat
But
once.
I think it will go to Lamar Jackson again. And I'm not sure I like that because here's the thing. I don't think Lamar Jackson should have won it last year.
Mm-mm.
In fact, I think it should have been Christian McCaffrey last year, but maybe y'all aren't ready for that conversation. I don't know.
No, I'm ready for it, man. Believe me. I'm set.
Okay. Anyway, because here's the argument. Lamar last year won it. This year, I will say, had a fantastic season. And I think that might be what they go off. Like the Aaron Rodgers back-to-back a few years ago. Lamar Jackson won MVP last year, had a much better season this time around, and wins again. But I think it really should be Josh Allen. But I think it will be Lamar.
Interesting. Before I make my take, one guy I think who should be in strong consideration, and in my opinion, maybe a little bit more than Lamar Jackson, is Joe Burrow. I mean, say what you want about his team's record. I think Joe Burrow was an overall better quarterback than Lamar Jackson this year. Say what you, I mean, watching Joe Burrow down the stretch of the season, on that push for the playoffs, he was ridiculous, man. Having one of the worst defenses in the league and consistently putting up 35 points or more each week and still losing is insane. If his defense was just a little bit better, I think Joe Burrow is the favorite for this award. He was ridiculous this year. However, Josh Allen was also very good, and I think it should and will be him. So I'm going with Josh Allen. But Joe Burrow,
You think it should be Joe Burrow?
I think it should be Josh Allen. Sorry.
Should be Josh Allen. Okay.
And it will be Josh Allen because he was also just ridiculous. But I'd put Burrow ahead of Jackson, to be honest. But that's just me.
Okay. I'm gonna ask you guys 2 questions first.
Okay.
Blind comparison seasons. Okay. Season A versus season B. Season A, just follow me. 67 completion percentage, 3,700 yards, 24 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 100 rating.
Okay.
Versus 63 completion, 3,700 yards, 28 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 100 rating.
What was the touchdowns?
Um, 24-7 or 28-6.
And what was the rating for the second guy?
100 and 100. Virtually the same rating,
I
same
mean,
yards. Player B is a bit more touchdown to interceptions. Player A is a slightly better completion.
I'll go with the guy that had more touchdowns and less picks, I guess.
Yeah,
But it's close, right? I just want to hear that it's
it is
kind of
Oh,
close.
it
Yeah.
is close for sure.
player A is 2023 Lamar Jackson, Adam, who, and I quote, you just said minutes ago that he didn't deserve the MVP.
Oh
He
shit.
did.
Player B is Josh Allen right now.
Oh,
Well, hey, still had four more touchdowns and one less pick.
Yeah.
I
Okay, now,
got to stat check myself. Hold on.
so now,
Oh,
You
for
can't play with
conversation's
that,
sake,
Lou.
Joe
hmm?
Burrow, 43 touchdowns to 9 picks. I'll just say that.
Chill. For
Sorry, sorry,
conversation's sake,
sorry.
for conversation's sake, I don't think it should be Josh Allen. I don't think it will be Josh Allen. Fine, okay. Never mind this comparison. Lamar this year, 67%, 4,100 yards, 41 touchdowns, 4 picks. Fantastic year.
Was that just through the air or total?
Good point just through the air. That's actually a fantastic point. But Joe Burrow, 70%, 5,000, well, all right, 4,900 yards, 43 and 9. I think it should be Joe Burrow. I think it will be Lamar Jackson.
Adam, I'm done being a puss, bro. Change my pick to Joe. Change my pick to
Okay.
who it should be to Joe. Sorry.
Okay.
I mean, Luke, you
Should
got
be
me
a
hyped
Joe.
up. Yeah, it should be Joe.
Both of you.
It should be Joe Burrow. But
Yeah. I think it
sorry.
should be Joe, will be Lamar. But I
Okay.
think it very easily will be Lamar because the same people who vote for All Pro vote for MVP and they gave it to Lamar. So very easy.
I'm glad you recognize how good Joe Burrow was this year,
Oh
man.
yeah.
He
He's
was
the best quarterback
ridiculous.
in football.
Thank you. Thank you. And
Look, I know how good Joe Burrow was, but unfortunately, as much as I disagree with it, I think winning goes into it.
but dude, he was dropping 35 points a game.
I
Joe
agree.
Burrow down the
I
stretch.
agree. But I'm being
Dude,
realistic with
No,
down the stretch.
no,
I'm okay.
no,
I'm not being realistic. I'm aligning with what I think the NFL
Those
vote.
games down the stretch. Like that Broncos game. Those other games they had to win. I will maybe take that version of Joe Burrow against any other quarterback in NFL history.
It's not ridiculous. It's not ridiculous to say
Like
that.
2018 LeBron. It's like 2004 Barry Bonds.
2018
That-
LeBron. 2018 LeBron led his team to the finals.
Okay, dude, Joe Burrow, if he didn't have a wet piece of paper as a defensive coordinator, if he didn't have
The paper.
the worst defense in the league, they should have beat the dude. I am mad that they beat the Patriots. That the Patriots beat them week one. Because if they didn't, then the Bengals would have made the playoffs. We would have had the number one overall pick. The Bengals would have beaten the Bills. And the Bengals might have just beaten the Chiefs because the Chiefs weren't stopping that much on defense. And the Bengals defense by the end of the season was playing a little bit nicer.
Yeah.
So,
That wet piece of paper happened to get another defensive coordinator job, by the way.
well,
Which is
Do you
insane.
agree with it or
maybe
not?
someone put a blow dryer in front of him. Good for him. But I
Joe Burrow was
now,
so good.
now the show was like first take. But I'm just like, I
I'm
have no
loving it.
problem fighting for this.
No, it should be Joe Burrow. I thought that was like kind of a hot take, so I went with should for Allen, but in my heart, I'm like, man, Joe Burrow was so
It should not be Josh Allen. I don't even want to hear it.
okay.
He had the season that Lamar had last year, and everybody still thinks Lamar shouldn't have won MVP last year.
Word. So, are we picking this game, or are we gonna wait?
I'm prepared to pick it. I'll say that much.
Well, don't we do our Super Bowl special like next week? Is that the plan?
Yeah, we can do that. Whatever you want to do. I just threw this in here because I wasn't sure, but
Any hot takes early on?
my parents are gonna hate the Kendrick Lamar halftime show.
Dude, I was just gonna say that. My hot take is that like I'm gonna spend the whole halftime show being like, I don't know the words to this song. I've never heard the song in my life.
They're not like us. They're not like us.
Who's SZA? I don't know who that is.
I see.
Yeah, I'm gonna
I will say, for the sake of deciding whether we should do this or not, I don't know who I'm picking yet.
Valid. Let's
I
wait.
do.
I still am torn.
I know
I'm-
the score, I know the scenario, I know the team.
I think
Not
I
ready,
think it's
but
super easy to pick too. But anyway,
I don't
we'll
think it's easy, but
we'll save that for next week.
Yeah.
yeah. Halftime show, I might just have to bring up politics. It might be less uncomfortable.
True. Well,
So,
good
all right.
episode.
All right, guys. Well, we'll see on Thursday if our picks for the honors end up working out or not. It was some fun debates today.
Yes,
And
sir.
what happens. We are your hosts, Adam.
Dante.
And Luke.
We'll catch you all next time. Thank you so much for tuning in. Love y'all. Peace.